It's you know, it's like they were demoing some weird apps and everything. I honestly can say I've never played Fruit Ninja. I should.
One.
Fruit Ninja. That was the game. Because they demoed Fruit Ninja to show how well Android apps scale. Apparently Fruit Ninja is some game in the Android marketplace, which I've never played, but you know, it was a game made for these little tiny screens like phones, and here it is on a 10-inch screen. Looked fine. You know, it's...
You know, I was actually most impressed by the multiple finger swipe that you could do that was supported. Worked really well.
Now, it's on that note, since you brought it up, how long do you think before we have 4 or 5 Apple fanboys who come out and go, just had to steal multi-touch, didn't you? Even though Apple didn't invent it. How long?
I was going to say that, you know, Apple did not invent multi-touch, but...
But that's what they love to say, you know, even though Apple's actually been sued over that because of people who actually own the patents. But yet, we're stealing it, I'm sure. It's like... it's like, this isn't really in any way relevant, but when you were watching that demo, did you find it funny the email they were using to show how Gmail worked, and you know, you could drag stuff around?
I didn't even notice it.
And the upper, if any of you who are watching this thing, and we'll put a link to the actual Google video for those of you who haven't watched it. It's an hour long. We're trying to condense it, but he's going and showing off, you know, Gmail, and it looked very much like what you get on the iPad, but except with widget drag and dropping, which I love. But you know, it showed the Gmail in the upper left hand corner, like it's going to do on everybody's thing. And it was test.something at Gmail. I'm like, what's the matter, Google developer? You don't want everybody in the world to have your email? I mean, come on, have some heart.
Maybe they all wanted to have their email used and become famous, but because they all wanted, they decided that nobody would get to.
I'm guessing none of them wanted their email in the wild, because when anything goes wrong with Google, what will we all do? Hey, you! Tell me who I should talk to! Because they didn't, nobody noticed this, but when they did that before, when they were showing stuff before, when they were like showing Gmail, they were showing their actual emails. And my guess is they like couldn't use that email anymore because everybody was emailing them.
I wondered if that was live.
Oh, no, that thing was done live.
Yeah, but the internet connection, I'm surprised that, you know, some smart ass kid or something didn't email him with like the subject, I don't know, like James Rules or something. So
oh, well, no, my guess is that email, I'm sure that was a real email. My guess is they'd set that email up to refuse all messages except pre-approved ones or something. I guarantee that.
That would make sense, because I'm like, that would be probably something I might try to do.
Yeah, it's like, I'm sure the controls for that particular Gmail account were set to refuse all non-pre-approved messages. You know, just send them straight to spam. It's like, and then delete the spam. I don't even want to know about them, because this is for tests for a live thing. Yeah. Now, they said the next thing they demoed was the hardware acceleration, which we were talking about earlier. 1 line of code. Great. However, the thing I noted most from that hardware acceleration demo, especially when they got to demoing the game and stuff that they were demoing, is when you are fully using it, this is still not a desktop device. It is still an ARM processor. Why it's better than most ARM the device they were using, but you know, ARM processors are not desktop processors. And when they were doing that hardware acceleration demo and really juicing it up, you know, they had like a lot of things going on the screen, it did get a little laggy. There was a noticeable lag there. So these devices are not ready to be true desktop replacements. They're getting there, but that's, you know, what, there's no way to tiptoe around this. If you're going to be pushing that hardware acceleration, if you're going to be doing a bunch of things, if you're going to be going nuts, expect the system to start lagging. This is one of the reasons I think that Apple is refusing to use this technology at all right now, because of the possibility to overload it. I like the way Android and the other manufacturers are going, where they're saying, well, you can overload it, but it's damn useful, so we're going to use it. Because they didn't even, nobody even cared that it was glitching a little. And I don't expect an ARM device. Now, on that note, how do you think the average consumer's going to react to that, though? When they overload it like that and get the little bit of glitching going. Do you think they're going to get mad at the device, or do you think they're going to understand they're asking it really to do more than it's capable?
No, what I think is that the average consumer is not going to use it to the point where it will be doing that, and that the people who will be using it to the point where it will be doing that probably will mind. But for those that might, I don't think that they'll mind.
I as far as for doing it with true multitasking of applications, I would agree with you. But they were demoing it with a game. And this was like a game, where if you're battling somebody else, which was the type of game this is, if y'all get to be going really nuts, basically two 10-year-olds going, attack you, attack you, attack you. I guarantee they will do this.
Okay, well, I mean, show me one computer anywhere.
Oh no! This is a problem in any game. That's what I'm saying.
It's pretty great. They spend a lot of time making sure all their animations are very smooth, and even they lag on games.
Yeah. So it's. I mean, do you think it's gonna? Do you think Android will get the rep for that, or you think they'll just go, "Oh, I'm overloading the game"? What do you think will be the natural reaction?
Well, I mean, well, how would they get the rip for it compared to what? I mean,
well, because they're like it's running smooth till I get to this point. You think they're going to associate that with Android or the Honeycomb, or you think they're going to associate that with the game and they've just overloaded?
Honestly, I mean, the game was lagging, but it was lagging in terms of animation. From what I've seen of gamers, what they care about is lag that actually affects their game, and that's like something that freezes, so lags that happen for a long time where you're actually losing information that your eyes are processing, so therefore you can't react correctly, or lagging as in, the game's not receiving and sending data, quick enough.
Yeah, and that's just going to matter on the cell phone networks or whatever. Right. That's going to have nothing to do with the device.
I don't know any gamers that really care if there's a little bit of loss in frames. It matters. As long, because anybody who's gamed before knows that any game will do that. So as long as it doesn't freeze, it's fine.
Well, and that's going to depend how overloaded it is.
As long as it doesn't for more than 0.2 of a second, then it's fine.
Well, and like what you were saying, what it was like, instead of the people on the screen moving like this, they were moving like.
Yeah.
it's like so it wasn't even really that bad. Yeah. Now, one thing I do want to wonder on that, though, like moving on behind that, is that they were talking about this render script, say new from Google. I want to know what that is, because I don't know what that is. I don't know what the base for that is. I'm sure somebody will take the Android SDK apart, but I'm wondering if that's some other, because like everything we've been looking at in Honeycomb, it's like, oh, that looks like this from this. Oh, that looks like this from this. Oh, that looks like this from this. I'm wondering if it's just some open source project like that and they've renamed it for marketing purposes, or if Google actually contributed scripts to that.
It might be either okay. So since it's called render script and not render engine, I'm guessing it's not a whole graphics engine itself. I'm guessing it's a way to access a graphics engine.
Probably.
So what I'm guessing, just from the name, from what I know, it is an API to access something like an OpenGL. So it's basically, an API, it's a way to access it, and it's also shorthand for it. So it'll do something that'll optimize it as it goes, and it'll allow you to write code quicker, you know. And it's basically just think of an API for OpenGL. So,
and if that's what it is, I want to know what the base underneath it is that it's calling. Because
I imagine that that's what it is. I could be wrong, and if someone knows I'm wrong, I would rather hear.
Yeah, no. Again, this is pure speculation because literally just a few days ago, Android publicly published the source so people can actually start find it. Those of you who are tearing it apart, look at this part of it. Tell us what it is. You know, if it's based on this, if it's this, so we know. Because I'd love to know what's underneath there, and rather the thing on top is just some other project that Google's basically rebranded. Or rather it's something they made to work with another one. If it is something like OpenGL, I really want to know that because there's this big debate going on and other stuff. You know, OpenGL sucks because people don't use it. And if that's what's running this, that yeah, I'd love to know that. But
yeah. All right. What's next?
Okay, it's like, well, we're just going through the order they went through stuff. On the book demo, this is my opinion, and I'm not the only one that has this. Tons of people, both that love and hate Apple, when they took a look at the iPad books, they're like, it's a bookshelf. Really, bookshelf, best thing you could come up with. I like that Honeycomb didn't do that. This is purely a personal preference thing. I think some people are going to hate this, though. You know, they basically just made it a spinning Rolodex. Good, bad. You broke up there. Say that again.
I have a problem with the carousel because it only shows one at, you know, it's only a single line carousel. You know how the YouTube thing that they showed?
Yeah, I know what you're talking.
That was awesome.
Yeah, so your thing is, so wait, why are you putting more effort into YouTube than you are into your book carousel? Well,
no, it's not that. It's that the way they presented the YouTube videos with like a whole full window carousel that you move and your full window fills up with books. That's what I would prefer. I would prefer having more information presented at me and then looking through that information than having to keep swiping my finger, looking through information. I would like that full, you know, because that would be like a bookshelf, like a virtual bookshelf itself. You know, you look at
but in a way that takes advantage of what the device can actually do, as opposed to limiting you to the limitations of the physical media.
Right. Exactly. And so so basically, I like the carousel, but I'd prefer they did it the same way they did the YouTube video thing. That would be awesome.
You know, I wasn't thinking that way, but I have to agree with you. That would be so much more useful because then it would actually be just like when I use a carousel on my desktop. I would actually have everything, which is a lot more useful because I can see how going through 1, 2, 3, you're going to get sick of that really quick. If you have a lot of books.
Yeah.
I guess they're counting on nobody reads anymore. Maybe that's why they didn't put as much. It's sad but true, unfortunately. There's something to be said for just sitting down and reading occasionally.
Alright, what's next?
I was noticing something in this demo as far as for the multiple desktops, and that it's looking like they learned a little bit from the way they were doing Android, and that stock Android on the phone was all the icons are on the one desktop. And of course the very first thing power users did was said, well, I'm going to move all these icons over to this desktop because I'm in that mode over there. And I'm going to move all these icons over there because I'm in that mode over there. Then I'm going to have these shortcuts here. Based on what they were showing in this demo, and this is purely on this demo, when we actually start buying the devices, we'll know it's not. But I'm thinking they've learned that, and they actually have the default desktops grouped. Like your media's on one desktop, all your media player shortcuts are over here, and all your like Gmail, home, like all those links are over here. Did you get that impression from it, or did you just kind of, was it purely coincidence maybe?
might be right, but I wasn't looking much as what's on it, more as how the function of the actual switching was. But I wasn't looking enough at what kind of widgets were placed to notice.
Okay.
And to be honest, all the screens weren't very populated anyway. I know that my screens have everything everywhere.
Oh, yeah. God, I think I have like 60 different. With the exception of my my left desktop, all of my desktops are full of stuff. I have it doesn't stay pretty long. When you start using it, it's like.
Any way it's put, it's yeah. But it is, if it's true what you said, and I believe that it is, from what I can remember, it's nice that they kind of, for people that maybe don't do what power users do.
Well, no, and it's one of those things. Power users immediately think that way because if they're used to more than one desktop and they're doing it, like, I want it this way. But a novice user who's never been exposed to that before, setting it up like that by default kind of indirectly gets their mindset thinking that way. So without meaning to, they'll start sorting it that way and get more out of the device.
Right, and that's good, and that's good for many reasons. And one of the reasons that's good is that's not something that you could do on the iPhone or iPad, as I remember.
Yeah, I wish for the Apple users it was, but Apple doesn't do it anyways.